Good morning, dear students. Welcome back to the English literature class. Today we are going to begin with a new chapter from the poem session, unit number 4, After Blenheim, written by Robert Southey. So in this class we are going to see the introductory part of the chapter. Robert Southey was an English romantic poet. So he specialized in romantic poems which express special feelings to the reader. He was the poet laureate, which means the court poet of his time. Court poet means he was an official poet of the court of Britain. During 16th, 15th, 16th centuries, the ruling system in England was king and kingdom system, monarchy form of administration. So he was the court poet of the Britain during his time. He wrote this poem in 1796 about a battle that took place in Blenheim, a village in southern Germany, in 1704. Actually, the plot of this poem is from an incident which took place. It is based on a battle that took place in Blenheim, a village in southern Germany, 1704. Near about 90 years later, he has written this poem on the basis of that battle which took place in 1704. It is an anti-war poem that sharply criticizes the destruction and death caused by war. When a war took place, we will feel like what is necessary to maintain peace in the world, but actually it is not the reality. Because of a war, number of destructions and death take place in the world, either in a country or in the whole world. We know about the First and Second World War, especially about the Second World War. The people of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they are still suffering because of the impact, because of the destruction and the death of the people caused by the war. We cannot replace anything which caused by the wars. And we have seen the dangerous, the dreadful phase of the wars, especially in the Second World War, due to the using of different atomic weapons. So it is an anti-war poem that sharply criticizes the destruction and death caused by the war. The poet uses the simple narrative of a grandfather explaining to his two grandchildren his own suffering and the suffering of many others like him who were victims of the battle. Battle is not between two countries, but it is between two civilizations. It is between two group of people, and it is affecting the people together. Suppose if there is a war between two countries, don't think that only the victorious people or the failed country or the failed people are getting suffering. No, both the countries are getting suffering. The victorious country is also facing a lot of destructions and death caused by the war, same like the failed country. So the poet uses simple narrative of a grandfather explaining to his two grandchildren. So this is the plot of the poem. A grandfather is explaining to his two grandchildren, according to his own experience, what were his sufferings and the sufferings of many others like him who were the victims of the battle. The grandfather cannot give any good reason for war and can only repeat that it was a famous victory. At the end of every stanza, the grandfather is repeating that it was a famous victory, but he was not able to give a reason behind his statement. It was a famous victory. He was not able to give a reason to justify that it was a famous victory. He was always emphasizing, he was always saying that it was a great victory, but he was not able to give a reason behind it. Obviously, this was the propaganda that was indoctrinated in the common people. So common people was always saying that it was a great victory, but even though they were not knowing about it, they were not knowing whether it was a great victory, but the government, the rulers, they told that it was a great victory. It was the victory of the nation. It was the victory of the common people. So they have taken it as their own victory, even though they have suffered a lot because of the war. The poet wants to emphasize through the repetition of the lines that wars are senseless, fruitless and evil, and that in war there are no real winners. So through a number of lines, through a number of repeated lines, the author says that wars are senseless. There is no meaning in that. It is useless. It is fruitless. Nobody is gaining something from the war. And it is an evil. After all, it is not giving anything good to the people. And that in war there are no real winners. All are losers. Both the countries will be using its resource to get success in the war, but actually there are no real winners. Actually there are no success in the wars, but all are losers. So throughout the poem, the poet is trying to emphasize on these ideologies that wars are senseless, it is fruitless and it is an evil, and in war there are no real winners. This is a powerful poem that echoes Wilfred Owen's famous quote, "The pity of war." The pity of war is a quote made by Wilfred Owen in his work. And this poem, After Blenheim, is a powerful poem which supports the quotes of Wilfred Owen. This poem is a wake-up call to seek peaceful solutions to all conflicts. So by the end of this poem, or once when we come to an end, or once when we conclude this poem, the poem is advocating, rather than going for war, seek peaceful solutions, seek peaceful measures to solve all conflicts, to solve all problems. So this is an introduction to the poem of After Blenheim by Robert Southey. So dear students, here we are winding up today's class, and the next class we will be going to discuss about the different literary devices used in this poem. So we will meet again in the next class. Still then, I would like to sign off. Thank you.